What is good, credit people, and welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Bobbalam, being discriminated against by McDonald's for having such a big D. They were trying to steal it for their own logo, and they couldn't fill it up with all the meat they got in the store, so they just wouldn't even let me in the store and order, you know what I'm saying? So I guess that's why they had to put me through the drive-thru. But anyway, in related news, in today's video, we're gonna be talking about the collaboration of Travis Scott and McDonald's with the Travis Scott meal, in which people are accusing McDonald's of using Travis Scott in order to respond to racial discrimination lawsuits filed against them this year in 2020, because obviously Travis Scott is black, and the lawsuits were filed by former black employees / executives and franchise owners around the country. So obviously this would help gain the public perception back, or at the least maintain the public perception that McDonald's is not racist, because I haven't really heard much about that in my lifetime, but I guess we'll see. So without further ado, is McDonald's using Travis Scott? Let's talk about it. Okay, so as mentioned in the intro, McDonald's is being accused of using the Travis Scott partnership in response to a racial discrimination lawsuit to essentially claim that they are not racist and make these lawsuits go away, or in other words, denying the allegations. But I guess the two lawsuits have gone public because Vice reported on the allegations, talking to two historians and a Georgetown University professor, wherein they spoke on the company's history regarding race within the past decades, suggesting the partnership was launched in response to recent discrimination lawsuits filed by these former employees that we just talked about. And the Georgetown University professor was an African American studies lecturer and said that there is no question that the company launched the collaborations to, quote, try to shore up brand recognition and brand loyalty for McDonald's on the part of consumers of color. Essentially what I said earlier about trying to maintain the public perception with minorities and black people with the Travis Scott meal, because obviously Travis Scott is black, and so working with another black person would increase their perception of the brand in other black people's eyes. And I'm not saying this isn't true, even if the lawsuit is a dud and just does not work whatsoever, because that could be the reason that McDonald's did it. Although I would think that Travis Scott is just a popular person in general and they wanted to make money, but we'll get into that a little bit later. 4. The first lawsuit was filed by two former executives at McDonald's this January, with the individuals accusing the company of conducting, quote, a ruthless purge of black employees in management positions. The employees further alleged that McDonald's fostered a hostile and abusive work environment for any black executives and franchise owners at the company. The number of black employees in such positions dropped from 42 in 2014 to 7 in 2019, the lawsuit added. So essentially what they just said is McDonald's is racially discriminating against black executives and franchisee owners around the country by purging their positions of management and ownership of the stores. And they have statistics to back it up, claiming that there was almost 100% decrease of black franchisee owners in only 5 years. So that makes sense a little bit, but we don't really know the details just yet. But the second discrimination suit of the year was filed by 52 black franchise owners, and I assume that 52 was in the past like 20 years or so, because as we said before, in 2014 there were only 42 black owners. But anyway, to continue, whom have claimed McDonald's engaged in systematic and covert racial discrimination over multiple decades. So yeah, that just confirmed it. In the suit, the franchise owners alleged that the company pushed to open locations in low income, high crime areas in which employee turnover is at its highest. Now I see where they're going with that point, but in law that doesn't necessarily correlate to race. I know that low income, high crime areas objectively tend to include higher minority counts than, you know, like suburban areas and shit like that, but it's almost kind of racist to make that point in such a lawsuit, in my opinion, for claiming the company pushed to open locations in these low income, high crime areas, and relating that to racism is kind of racism in itself, in my opinion, because in the lawsuit you're essentially saying that the black people in these areas are the reason for the low income and the high crime. Am I right? But anyway, to continue, in addition, they have claimed black franchisees had not received appropriate financial support and garnered harsher internal reviews than their white peers. Now this definitely bodes well for them in the lawsuit. I don't know much of the details. They would have to go over transcripts of meetings and recordings like that, but if they have proof, they have proof. I can't really speak much on that. but I have a few points that are kind of unrelated to the lawsuit that would kind of prove that the Travis Scott meal was not McDonald's using Travis Scott, at least in response to the racial discrimination lawsuits, because firstly, pretty much every big corporation is accused of racism nowadays. I mean, I'm not saying that racism is not real, because it definitely is, but some of these lawsuits are bogus, just like the Me Too movement. Again, I'm not saying that the women are lying about being assaulted or things like that, but there have been times when the women have been proven that it was a complete lie. So some of these racism lawsuits are just to get money as well. For a lot of them are even run by white people, as in like the lawyers who kind of manipulate these black people to accuse them of racism just to get money out of the big corporation, because even if the lawyer wins like $1 million for their client through the racism lawsuit in a settlement, they get like 20% of it. I don't know what percentage they would get, but they'd still get a fat stack in like only I don't know, a couple months of work. So there's honestly an incentive for these lawyers to be making these racial lawsuits. But to continue on to the facts, I thought it was interesting that a few days ago there were reports that McDonald's credits Travis Scott promotion for its 4.6% increase in sales, whereas earlier this year, due to COVID-19, aka coronavirus, the franchise was down negative 8.6% in sales, because obviously people didn't want to go out of their house and they didn't want to go to a fast food restaurant where probably the germ count or chances of contracting the virus was a little higher than, you know, if you go into your local Ruth's Chris or high-end restaurant where they sanitize your balls while you're eating food. But I think this increase in sales is significant because honestly, I don't really think that McDonald's was using Travis Scott in response to the racial discrimination lawsuits. I think they were just doing it for the money, because like, I don't think they care if Travis Scott is black. They just care that he, you know, is a popular person, one of the most popular rappers in the world. I honestly think that he may be the most popular rapper in the world currently because of the Fortnite collab and all that. I know Drake gets more sales, but Travis Scott's brand is just huge at this point, whether they listen to his music or not. Not to mention the fact that Travis Scott definitely benefited from McDonald's in this sense, because McDonald's is, I think, the largest franchise in the world. So Travis Scott essentially got more famous from McDonald's collabing with them, but also he got money out of it probably too. And all he had to do was fucking tell them his order, because it's not like he created any like crazy McFlurry with, I don't know, like Astro World space rocks or something in the ice cream or some shit. But we'll get into a little more of the benefits on Travis Scott's end later on in the video. But also I wanted to mention that J Balvin, another artist, he's actually Colombian or something like that, he does like reggaeton, he also just did a collaborative meal with McDonald's, and he is actually not black. Now he's a minority, so you know, maybe racial discrimination can be argued in that sense, but a lot of artists are of a different race, and he so happens to be bigger than Travis Scott with 44 million followers, whereas Travis Scott only has 33 million. But since J Balvin isn't even black, I mean, this kind of is a good argument for McDonald's, saying that, you know, we don't care that Travis Scott was black. In fact, we've already partnered with people who are not black, proving that they're only doing it for purposes of profit, not necessarily an increasing sales, not necessarily to go against a racial discrimination case, which they are probably receiving like every single year at this point, just because that's what happens to corporations. Big corporations even buy insurance for all these lawsuits so they don't have to pay out so much money just in case they lose, because they already count on a certain number of lawsuits every single year. That's just the way shit goes. I'm sure like even the least racist people like Elon Musk, I don't know if Elon Musk is not racist, but for example, if Elon Musk wasn't racist, even if he was black, he probably would receive racial discrimination lawsuits every single year too, just because of how big of a name he is. But back to Travis Scott. If anything, I think that Travis Scott used McDonald's for, as I mentioned before, he's probably way more famous from this McDonald's meal. I mean, he was the first person to have his own burger or meal since Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan is one of the most famous people on this planet too. Hell, he's regarded as the like best NBA player ever, unless like I know some of y'all are gonna argue LeBron, especially after the Lakers just won, but y'all get what I'm saying. Not to mention the fact that if you recall, Travis Scott sold like hella merch with the McDonald's collaboration on his own website. It was on TravisScott.com. It's not like it was on McDonald's where Travis was kind of like riding their clout. Nah, McDonald's brought all their clout to his website. He sold the merch and he used it to upcharge sell his new song, coincidentally named Franchise, because McDonald's is a large franchise. You get it? So Travis Scott wasn't being used. This was like a whole diabolical plan by both of them, in which both of them received benefits. He even made a chicken nugget pillow that was his idea, apparently, that he said to Jimmy Kimmel Live or whatever his name is, or whatever talk show it was. And even in the McDonald's commercial, he used it to promote his new album that's likely going to be called Utopia, because if you recall at the very very end. He got in a spacesuit and like flew off. That was the very same one. I think it was just a different color. It was black instead of white, that he posted on Instagram a while back, and I believe is in a music video. And then with all this new clout, he's even starting his own cacti brand and even making a new alcoholic drink. So Travis Scott got his fair share of benefits from this collaboration. I don't really think that McDonald's used him at all. He used them, even though it was a beneficial partnership for the both of them, because McDonald's went up in sales, Travis Scott went up in sales too, aka streams and merch sales, and he might have even gotten a percentage of all of the Travis Scott meals that were purchased. I mean, shit, I haven't eaten McDonald's in like 5 years, and I got it for the video because I wanted to try the Travis Scott meal, even though it was just like a regular quarter pound with cheese or some shit. And again, he probably made like 10 mil off that shit, just like he did with Fortnite. I don't know. And just like Fortnite, when he released the Scots that went #1 with Kid Cudi, even though it wasn't even that great of a song, he went #1 again with this franchise single after using the hype from the McDonald's collab. So y'all tell me, did McDonald's really use him, or did he use McDonald's? So with that, it's your boy Bobbalam signing off, suing Travis Scott for making me go to McDonald's to get a regular ass burger because I thought I was getting a toy, and so did my girl. That's why she was getting her WAP ready while she was at home. But let me know in the comments what you think. You think McDonald's is racially discriminating against all of these black executives, or do you think it was just a coincidence, these statistics, and do you think they used Travis Scott to pose an argument against all that, or you think that the racial discrimination lawsuits were all bogus? Make sure to like and subscribe while you're at it for the latest hip-hop news, drama, and analysis videos, as well as to follow me on all my socials in the description and join the Bob Gang if you with it. I got another video coming later on Gunna and King, so look out for that. Peace out, cutty people. Know what I'm saying?